Language.
Fences.
The immigration offices.
Family.
People going back and forth.
Assimilation.
The Statue of Liberty in New York.
And thumbprints.
Borders, barriers.
Exchange of cultures and ideas. And
Arizona, unfortunately.
I had never thought that I would live in the United States.
My family, my brother, myself, and my mom and my dad, we moved down to Colorado, around the Boulder area for my dad's work.
Hated everything about America and everything about my life in that moment. You know, being 14, the world had fallen on my shoulders and I didn't know what to do with it.
I remember she was asking, I was in first grade and she was asking me questions, asking me to help her with the questions on the test, and they were something like, you know, who was the first president of the United States? You know, that sort of easy kind of question.
The very first time when I came as a student, I came by boat. When we were told that now we are in New York and we are going to be here, we're anchoring now and soon you will be going on land, we looked out of the windows and we could see the Statue of Liberty, and that was a interesting greeting, a warm greeting.
Immigration. There are few of us without some thoughts or images that flood our minds as soon as we hear the word. It is a loaded term, one that incites debate, friendly discussion, frustration, and even the hope for a new beginning. For 4 individuals, this goes far beyond a topic of conversation.
Yeah, it was easy for my mother to come here because my father was a U.S. serviceman. He was in the Air Force stationed in Japan. So the spouses of service personnel can get over here pretty easily.
I made it to the United States, and at first, obviously, never had lived with my parents. So I kind of, first of all, didn't want to be here because I didn't want to talk to them. They were just strangers to me.
It was a joke between my parents and their friend. So my dad joined a lottery, and I guess a lot of his friends joined, and our family was chosen to come down to the U.S. So, I mean, it was really rare. Those things don't really just happen. So my dad just kind of thought, what the heck? And so we packed up, and my dad found a job working for the newspaper.
And when I saw the description of this job with both teaching Swedish at the time and Russian, I thought, this is for me, and I imagined that I would come for perhaps 3 or 5 years.
Even so, when my parents split up, my mother still was not a citizen, and she'd been living in this country for, I think, maybe 5 years or so. And so she decided she should get her citizenship.
It was a long drive. Well, I guess it wasn't long, but I was a kid, so it seemed a lot longer. My parents, both my mom and my dad, are from the East Coast, so they're from Toronto, Ontario. And then my brother, Scott, and I, he's 4 years older, we were both born in Calgary.
Got to Seattle, nobody spoke Spanish. You know, things in California weren't that bad, so people weren't immigrating yet.
As easy as the test was back then, because her command of English was not very good, she needed to take it twice in order to pass it.
I knew that the job, I had said yes to the job, and so I thought everything was in order. But by the time of June of the year when I was going to start, I still didn't know anything. And then I learned that this department and the university had to have one more ad out to professionals in Russian and Swedish who were already American and lived here, so that I would not take the job away from someone who was already here. So that meant that we had to wait a lot more, and in the end I was actually late. I didn't come until October.
With language barriers, culture shock, and finding where you fit in, the process of immigrating to the U.S. is often just the beginning.
The process of cooking it's great, and that's one of the things that just definitely reminds me of Mexico, just being in the kitchen, walking around. I made it to the United States. It was a completely different country, a completely different culture, way of living, way of making decisions, way of going about life. Everything was just shocking. And at the same time, if we talk about it, it might just sound like a lot of stereotypes, you know, the whole community or versus the individualistic country. And yes, that's exactly what it is. It sounds a lot like stereotypes, but from what my experience, that was one of the first culture shocks.
The 1990s, who knew something about Russia, tended to know bad things, tended to know something from the Cold War or from, the arms race and things like that. And so it was heartwarming to see that people in our little town and in our area, the Palouse, because we had people out in the country also, would simply come up and say, this is interesting, let me meet somebody from that country. And we'll talk and we'll get to know each other.
Having a community here is really, really helpful. Because those who don't feel that, they are very isolated, and it's very tough. Some of our students from elsewhere, it seems as though they kind of glom on and find other people here from their country or from neighboring countries, and that helps a lot.
When the attack on 9/11 happened in New York, and it really shook me up because I felt that whatever political differences this country might have, that was unjustified, and that's not the way to go about change. And so that made me really think about wanting to honor the United States for the many, many things that I can respect and love here. I wouldn't have lived here so long if I didn't feel at home here, and I've lived here longer now than in Sweden.
But now I think that I'm at a place where I know that I wasn't there, you know, that's not how I grew up, but I am here, and I'm happy, and I've learned to enjoy and love not only the United States, but the people, the conversations, the language, everything. You know, I don't know that I will call myself an American, but I could probably call myself a Mexican American, and it doesn't hurt.
My mom forgot the Y on a check, like to pay for my green card, since it said $8 instead of $80. So they returned the check, and then my green card was expired. I didn't know what to do. I was 10.